Her first mission went horribly wrong until she turned it into a rescue. Lieutenant Maya Chen gripped the controls of the transport helicopter as it cut through the darkness at 3:27 a.m., her knuckles white against the black leather. This was supposed to be simple. Deliver medical supplies to forward operating base Sentinel, then return before dawn. Her commanding officer had assured her it was the perfect first solo mission, a milk run to ease her into real combat operations. But as the Afghan mountains loomed ahead like jagged teeth against the starlit sky, something felt wrong. The radio crackled with static, then went silent. Maya's pulse quickened. Before we begin, tell us in the comments where in the world you're watching from. Base, this is Shadow 27. Do you copy? Maya spoke into her headset, trying to keep her voice steady. Nothing but the drone of the rotors answered her. She checked her instruments again and her stomach dropped. The GPS was spinning wildly, useless. Her backup navigation system flickered and died. Someone was jamming her signals. This wasn't a milk run anymore. This was a trap. Maya's training kicked in as she descended toward what should have been the landing zone, but instead of the familiar lights of the base, she saw darkness. Then, through the green glow of her night vision goggles, she spotted it. The base was under attack. Muzzle flashes lit up the perimeter like deadly fireflies, and she could see figures running between buildings. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She had no weapons except a sidearm, no backup, and a helicopter full of medical supplies that suddenly seemed painfully inadequate. Turn back. Her instructor's voice echoed in her memory. Never fly into a hot zone without support. But as Maya banked the helicopter to retreat, she saw something that made her freeze. 3 soldiers were pinned down behind a destroyed vehicle at the edge of the compound, cut off from the main base. Tracer rounds streaked past them like deadly ribbons of light. They were going to die if someone didn't help them. Maya's hands trembled on the controls. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to save herself. She was one pilot, alone, untested in combat. Then she remembered why she'd joined the military in the first place. Her older brother's face flashed in her mind, the photograph on her mother's mantle of him in uniform, the hero who never came home. Be brave when it matters most, he'd told her before his final deployment. Maya took a deep breath, steadied her hands, and made a decision that would either save lives or end hers. She dove the helicopter low, so low that the skids nearly scraped the rocky ground, using the terrain to mask her approach. The element of surprise was her only advantage. As she swung around a rocky outcrop, she switched on her landing lights, flooding the area with blinding white light. The hostile fighters, momentarily disoriented, scattered for cover. Maya set the helicopter down 30 yards from the trapped soldiers, the rotors kicking up a storm of dust and debris. Move, 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 she screamed into the radio, praying someone could hear her. The 3 soldiers didn't hesitate. They sprinted toward the helicopter, firing behind them as they ran. Maya saw one stumble, shot in the leg, and watched as his comrades grabbed him under the arms and dragged him forward. Time seemed to stretch like taffy. Every second felt like an hour. Bullets pinged off the helicopter's metal skin, and Maya felt the aircraft shudder with each impact. The soldiers reached the cargo bay and hauled themselves inside. "Go, go, go!" one of them shouted, a sergeant with blood streaming down his face. Maya pulled up hard on the collective, and the helicopter lurched into the air. But something was wrong. The aircraft was sluggish, fighting her. Alarms began to scream. They'd hit something critical. The helicopter was dying. "We're not going to make it back to friendly territory," Maya said, her voice surprisingly calm, despite the terror clawing at her chest. She scanned the landscape desperately, her mind racing through options. Then she saw it. A narrow valley 2 miles north protected by high rock walls. If she could set them down there, they might have a chance to hide until rescue arrived. Hold on. Maya wrestled with the controls as the helicopter began to spiral. The engine coughed and sputtered. The ground rushed up at them with terrifying speed. She fought for every second of control, bleeding off speed, angling for the valley floor. The impact when it came was hard but not catastrophic. The helicopter skidded across sand and rock before finally shuddering to a stop. For a moment there was only silence and the ticking of cooling metal. Then the sergeant spoke, his voice filled with awe. "You just saved our lives." Maya turned to look at her passengers. These 3 soldiers she'd risked everything to save, and saw gratitude in their eyes. Her hands were still shaking. But something else was growing inside her. Pride, purpose, strength she didn't know she had. As dawn broke over the mountains at 6:15 a.m., painting the rocks in shades of gold and pink, they heard the distant thump of rescue helicopters. Maya had used the medical supplies to patch up the wounded, and they'd fortified their position through the night. Her first mission had gone horribly wrong, but in the chaos and fear, she'd discovered who she really was, not just a pilot, but a soldier who would fly into hell itself to bring her brothers and sisters home.